Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Glidden here with another live edition of the Dr. Glidden Show. Aren't you happy you tuned in? Well, you're going to be happier if you check out the live stream. We are high-tech, baby, all of the way, every day. Check out the live video stream, the Dr. Glidden Show. .tv, the Dr. Glidden Show.tv. Check it out. Currently, there are 38 people watching via YouTube. And in the worldwide live chat, 42 people from all around the world. Lisa from Indiana, Kathy from Pennsylvania, JR, Candace, Amos, Bonnie in Southport, Bob in Amarillo, Toronto, Beata from Toronto is in the house, Dee Dee is in the house, JJ, Jack Bolton from New York, Linda Johansson, Lou Gallardy, Kay in Nashville, Michael from Portugal, Magumi, Domo. Arigato, Magumi. Michael from Kansas, Socia in San Mateo, Vicky Joe, Brender, Tyler. Got lots of people here, not the least of which Mike Phillip, who holds down the fort for me every Friday. So it's all over the news, ladies and gentlemen. Brittany Maynard, assisted suicide advocate, ends her life. Ooh. Brittany Maynard, 29 years old, stage 4 glioblastoma, which is fancy schmancy doctor talk for I have no freaking idea what that is. I have no freaking idea what causes it. But here, I'm going to give you a treatment that's going to kill you and that's going to bankrupt you. And, you know, in the best possible situation, well, it's not going to work. 5-year survivalship on brain cancer is less than 33.4% with conventional medical therapeutics. That's after $1 trillion of research, more or less, over 3 decades. So everybody is all over the news now. The question that everybody's asking is about assisted suicide. And, you know, when does life begin and when does life end and who has the right to end their life? I mean, what's the deal? Right? This is what it's about, assisted suicide. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Well, it's the wrong question to ask. The correct question to ask is why, after $1 trillion of research, are there approximately going to be 23,380 new cases of brain cancer in 2014? That's just in the United States. Estimated deaths in 2014 from brain cancer, 14,320. That's a 2.4% of all cancer deaths, and that's an increase in 1.4% from last year. So brain cancer incidence is increasing. And only 33% of brain cancer victims, brain cancer sufferers, whatever terminology is politically correct in your database, 33% are alive after 5 years, and we don't want to even talk about the quality of life inside of those 5 years of the people who go for conventional treatment. Conventional treatment does not have a clue as to what causes brain cancer. They do not have a clue as to how to cure it. We are no closer to a cure for cancer than we were in the 1960s when Richard Nixon started the war on cancer. It is a gigantic medical failure. So much so that the conventional medical people have stopped even considering the word cure. They moved the goalposts. And now it's a 5-year survivorship. Oh, that's the gold standard of a successful cancer treatment. 5-year survivorship, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we want to do it. That's how we roll. That's right. If you are diagnosed with cancer and you die 5 years and 1 day after you were diagnosed with cancer and engaged in conventional medical treatment for cancer, and then you died from that cancer, your treatment goes into the record books as a successful cancer treatment, and there ought to be a law. The question that needs to be asked in the case of this young woman, 29 years of age, dead because her doctors were incompetent, dead because her doctors dropped the ball, dead because her doctors were closed-minded, Machiavellian, monopolistic, allopathic physicians who were only able to think inside of the box inside of which they were trained. Meanwhile, new German medicine, you want your mind to explode? We've been trying to get practitioners of, is it New German Medicine or German New Medicine? I forget. Do a Google search for both. This particular interpretation of cancer and the treatment thereof. It'll blow your mind. Meanwhile, alternative practitioners all around the world are in fact getting traction with cancer and with all other chronic diseases. You've heard it here on this radio program. You hear testimonials practically every day now from people who've had all kinds of crazy crap that the MDs had no idea what to do, just normal stuff. Well, high blood pressure, high blood sugar. You had high blood pressure for 25 years, then it goes away in 3 weeks, for goodness sakes. You hear all kinds of testimonials all of the time on this radio program, and we are just the tip of the iceberg. There are thousands of people all around the world who are experiencing recovery, cures of chronic health conditions with non-contemporary therapeutics, and yet these are not investigated because conventional American medicine does not care, is not concerned with a cure. It is not concerned with a cure. You need to understand this. You need to understand this. For goodness sakes, you wouldn't hire your high school swim coach to fix the plumbing in your house. They both work with water. A plumber works with water, or a swim coach works with water. Well, why don't you just hire the swim coach? Because they're the wrong dog for the hunt. Well, taking your ailing body into the office of an MD, if you are suffering with a chronic illness, is a fool's errand, and it will ultimately let you down, as it did for Brittany Maynard, who they let down so much she had to kill herself. She said, look, I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to, go that way. I know what the ultimate end game here is. I know what the results of all of this brain cancer nonsense are, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kill myself now. Thank you very much. You guys suck at your job. But instead of having that conversation, the media has the conversation about assisted suicide, not on the incompetency of conventional medicine in the face of cancer, which is where the conversation should be going. But it ain't gonna go there. You know why? Because we don't have a free medical market. We have a medical market that has been completely co-opted, cornered, and catapulted into the ditch of failure by the MDs. This is not an anti-MD rant. This is a let's get practical rant. For goodness sakes, back in the early days of the Republic, there was a political party called the Whigs, WHIGS, and the Whigs were so bad, they were so unbelievably ineffective at what they did, and their point of view was so unbelievably skewed from normal reality that their party doesn't even exist anymore. They were voted out. They're voted out. They don't exist. It's only a matter of time until the same thing happens to the MDs. It is only a matter of time because the system is collapsing under its own weight. The system is collapsing under its own weight. What's the most expensive type of medicine? It is, in fact, the one that does not work. MD-directed medicine. Your medical doctor is not trained in medicine. They're trained in allopathic reductionism. And allopathic reductionism is an old-fashioned, outdated, ineffective, dangerous, expensive philosophy of not healing, philosophy of disease management. And yet you have been socialized to believe that Dr. Oz, because he has an MD after his name, and every other MD in the world holds the secret decoder ring to all things medical. And if you have a medical question, if you have a medical concern, if you have a medical condition, you must lean on the MD, because everybody else is just, they're alternative doctors. They do alternative medicine. They do that back of the bus, not really scientific, not really medicine. It's quackery. That's shh, don't say that word out loud. It's quackery. Shh, don't say that word out loud. That's what it is. Substandard dangerous treatment. Meanwhile, the leading cause of death in the United States, MD-directed medicine. The leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, MD-directed medicine. And while we've let the MDs drive the bus of medicine, everybody's going to hell in a handbasket. The only people selling snake oil in this country have MD after their name. And ladies and gentlemen, this is, I love the MDs I love military field surgeons. I love those guys. I love surgeons. I love trauma doctors, except when they're addicted to street drugs, alcohol, or prescription medication, as Harvard University says over 50% of them are. But that's their thing. That's their wheelhouse. That's their strength. Surgery, trauma care. a handful of infectious diseases. In a perfect world, it would be illegal for an MD to practice anything other than trauma and surgery care. That's it. That's all they would be allowed to do. We don't let chiropractors do open heart surgery. Well, we shouldn't let MDs treat chronic disease. We shouldn't let MDs treat cancer because they suck at it. But because they monopolize the marketplace, they can do whatever the hell they want. And because they're a self-policing organization, they can kill you and get away with it. They can bankrupt you and get away with it. They can harm you and get away with it. This is a problem. And this is why this radio show is so important. This is why the knowledge base that we bring to the table is so vitally important. We are out to change the world. And I am not exaggerating. For goodness sake, your medical doctor doesn't even know, right, how to cure heartburn. You know, I wonder how bad that is. Antacid sales, $10 billion a year, 100 million people a month. 100 million people a month are treated for heartburn. And the heartburn from the MD's point of view is caused by stomach acid. Well, that's like saying tornadoes are caused by sunlight. Well, it's kind of a dodge, don't you think? Well, you know, sunlight creates rain, clouds create tornadoes, so sunlight creates tornadoes. Well, I don't think so. If stomach acid caused heartburn, then everybody with a stomach would have heartburn. The MDs have got it backwards. Heartburn is not caused by too much stomach acid, it's caused by not enough. But when we listen to them, 100 million people a year take, is that a year, a month? 100 million people a month. 100 million people a month take antacids here in the United States. 100 million people a month. Follow the lead of the MD into the Machiavellian world of symptom suppression and disease management. It's better, don't you think, to attempt to cure? I mean, isn't that a more rational approach? You're darn right it is. And that's what you will find here today and every day. I am Dr. Glidden. Stick around. Fools, ladies and gentlemen, and it is sinking slowly, and it's not just in the United States. In Canada, it's even worse because it's socialized medicine up there. You get no choice. The good thing about socialized medicine is the medical doctors can't run up the bill like they do here in the United States. They'll just do one CT scan instead of 3. I've actually had teenage boys, patients, come to my office reporting that they went to the emergency room after they fell off of their skateboard and they gave them 3 CT scans to the head. 3, not just 1, but 3. By the way, it was after the 15th of the month. You know what that means? Well, they've got quotas to fill. And because it's a self-policing, self-regulating industry, and because they have duped you, me, and everybody else, well, not me, not Longevity Nation, because they have duped most people in the world into believing that they are the high priests of medicine, and it's their way or, you know, the death way, they get away with it. They don't pad the bill in socialized medical countries, but what happens is they're spending, I think, $50 billion a day to prop $50 million a day in the province of Alberta to prop up the healthcare system. I mean, how long do you think that's going to be sustainable? You're going to have to find a lot more oil and gas in the ground, boys and girls, in order for that model to be sustainable. Fire your flippin' medical doctor now. Fire your medical doctor now. They do not know what's best for you when it comes to chronic disease. Want me to prove it? Let's go to the phones and see if anybody's calling in with a success story. Let's go to Lisa in Indiana and see what she has to say. Hey, Lisa, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
They're spending, I think,
Lisa.
$50 a day.
Come in, Lisa.
Yes, hey, Dr. Glidden.
Hey, Lisa, how are you? Thanks for calling up.
I'm good. How are you?
Well, God willing, I'll get better. I appreciate your phone call. Thanks so much. Tell the listening audience your story, please.
Okay, I called in earlier and left a message, and Brenda had called me back because I had a question about some longevity products, and I was telling her about my daughter Mariah, and she said I should call in the show and let you know how she's doing. When we met in Fort Wayne in September at the Jamboree, I spoke with you and Wallach, and you had told me to put her on several different of the longevity products. She's currently on the Healthy Brain and Start Pack. She's currently taking the De-Stress, the Smart FX, and the selenium, and she has not had a seizure since October 18th.
Oh, okay. Whoa. So back up. So how old is this child?
She's 17.
17. And how long has she been having seizures before you met me?
Before I met you, she's been having seizures since she was 9 months old.
9 months old.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
She's failed.
All right. So how many? How on
17
average?
medications.
Hold on. We'll get there. On average, how many seizures a day would she be having?
She wouldn't have them daily. It was very sporadic. She may have one a month, 2 a month, 3 a month, or she may go 3 or 4 months and not have any. But when she did have them, they were very long, 20 to 30 minutes long.
Yeah, that's a big bad voodoo daddy. How many prescription medications had she been taking?
She's currently on 3 right now.
Okay, so over the course of her life, they've given her probably many different prescription medications, right?
She's been on 17 different seizure medications.
17 different seizure medications since she was 9 months old, and now she's a teenager?
Yes.
All right, so how many months ago did you start her on the medical nutrition protocol?
She's been on it for 2 months.
2 months, 8 weeks, and what's happened to her seizure activity in the last 8 weeks?
She's had 0.
And how normal is it for her to go 8 weeks with 0 seizures?
Not really normal, but since she's been on the product, she's been doing a lot better.
Yeah. So 0 seizure activity in 8 weeks, which is unusual for her, and also other things in her body mind have brightened up and improved. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so give me an example of a couple of things that have gotten better.
Well, she's more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah,
she doesn't have the dark circles under her eyes quite as bad as she used to. We actually met her new neurologist last Thursday, and she knows who you are. Her name is Dr. Lisa McGuire through the Peyton Manning Children's Hospital in Indianapolis.
I doubt very much that she knows who I am because I've never heard of her.
Well, she said she knew you because I asked her. And I asked her what she thought of the holistic approach, and she said she was all for it. And I took all the products with me, showed them to her, and she thought they were all great. She said to keep doing what I'm doing. And I told her that if we could go 6 months, I would like to start tapering one of her seizure medications, which is the Keppra. She's on 3,000 milligrams of Keppra per day.
Hold that thought, Lisa. We're up against a hard break. I'll bring you back when we come back. Let's go back to the phones here and finish up with our friend from Indiana, Lisa. Okay, so you've hooked her up with an MD who's an advocate of holistic medicine and who didn't have any training, any experience, any clinical training in medical nutrition. She looked at the nutritional supplements and gave you an A-OK on them, and that's tantamount to clinically lying. She should have said, look, I've had no training. I don't have any experience with this stuff. I obviously have some respect for it because I'm talking to you, but I can't give you a recommendation up or down as to whether this stuff is good or bad because it's not inside my wheelhouse. That's what she should have said, but she did not say that. And that's a problem because, and this is the problem with the MDs, and I really have to beat this into people's heads because they're just so full of themselves. I mean, you wouldn't go to an MD for advice about, how to ride a horse. You wouldn't go to an MD for advice about how to help your pig deliver a litter of little piglets because it's not their thing, but they'd probably give you advice about it. But you see, we go to the MDs for everything. Now, look, I'm glad that you found somebody who is not antagonistic towards what we do. I'm really glad, and you're really lucky, and that's going to serve you well moving forward because we don't have a perfect world, and the only medicine that's practiced in your hospital, the only medicine that your insurance pays for, the only medicine that you have access to is MD-directed medicine, and your kid's in the weeds. And your kid is going to need their help to get out of the weeds. So you're in a good spot here. But, we need to keep it all in perspective. You really should think twice about just the intellectual integrity of any medical professional who's giving you advice as if they're an expert on stuff that they don't have any clinical training in whatsoever, and yet it happens all the time. So the end game here, Lisa, is to get your child off of the Keppra next, and then keep your fingers crossed and see what happens, right?
Exactly, because she's on 3 different types of seizure medicine now,
Yeah.
and the moods, just the side effects are just horrible.
I know.
I'm just ready to keep moving forward with this, and hopefully the product continues to work, and we'll have good results.
Well, you're awesome, really. And, we just have to kind of keep everything in perspective, and hope is irrelevant. What is relevant is actionable knowledge, right? And understanding,
Right.
clinical understanding. So whenever anybody with any chronic health condition gets on board with a medical nutrition program and inside of 8 weeks experiences noticeable and measurable positive change in 2 or 3 different areas of their body mind, that is an awesome first step. And that bodes
Yes, it
very
is.
well for the future outcomes here. I mean, it just makes sense, right? I mean, sometimes the tomato doesn't grow no matter how much fertilizer and water and sunlight you give it. The plant just doesn't grow because it's, a funky little plant. But when it does grow, when it does respond in the first couple of weeks, then that's always a good sign for future, improvement. So my advice to you, which I don't even have to give you because I know that you're going to do this whether I tell you to or not. Just maintain the discipline, baby. Just keep dialing it in because remember, healing is a process. It's not an event. And the sooner that she gets off of these meds, the better. And also, just for another educational arrow in your quiver here, the Keppra and the other anti-seizure medications are not designed to cure the condition. They're not.
Right, they just treat the
Symptoms.
disease symptoms.
Yeah,
right.
it's like painting over the mold. Right. And
Right.
another thing that people don't understand, and it boggles my mind why MDs don't understand this. And really, they're like, little rats in a maze following each other around, and they just do what the other rat does, and it's nuts.
Right.
But any pharmacist will tell you this. Pharmacists know this. So why don't MDs know this? I don't know. But the deal is when you take a nutritional supplement into your body, a prescription medicine into your body. When you take a prescription medicine into your body, it works by upregulating your biochemistry, by messing and controlling and doing things to your biochemistry. It's kind of like stepping on the gas, shifting the car into gear and stepping on the gas. Well, when you do that, guess what happens to the biochemistry? It burns through nutrients. It burns through nutrients. So the longer that you're on any type of a medication, the less effective it is in its action. And then instead of just giving the body the vitamins and the minerals that the medication needs in order to work the way it did in the first couple of weeks of its delivery, the MDs just don't even see that. They miss it completely. And so they increase the dose, and then add a second
Right.
drug, and then a third drug, and then increase those doses. And then the kid's a little freaking zombie.
That's right. That's exactly what's happened.
That's exactly what's happened. And it's medical madness. I mean, it's not, pharmacists know this. Well, why doesn't that translate into the clinical sphere? Because it's a gigantic train wreck. That's why the sooner you get this kid out of their hands, the better off you're going to be.
Because, the doctors want that gigantic bank account.
Well, that's one reason. That's right. And the other reason is, then it's true, because there is a profit motive here for sure. But the other
Absolutely.
reason is that they're just intellectually cowardly, and they're not trained to think outside of the box. And if they do think outside of the box, they're going to lose their license. If they lose their license, then their paycheck really is going to go away. And that's a bigger problem here. We don't talk
Right.
about that enough. But nonetheless, it's a lion's den. And the sooner you get your child out of it, the better. Tell you what, you've taken gigantic steps towards that goal. Keep calling me back, Lisa, every month or so with a progress report. Really, I'm gonna look forward to that. I'm gonna keep this one on my radar big time. I appreciate you very much.
Okay, and I appreciate you very much, Dr. Glidden.
All right, Lisa, keep up the good work there in Indiana, because you are the last best hope your friends, family members, and church members have to live normal, healthy, and dare I say it out loud, wealthy lives. Everybody is sick, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody is sick and suffering, and it's worse now than it ever was. I'm in my mid-50s now. I didn't know anybody when I was a kid that was autistic or that had Alzheimer's. I didn't know anybody. Now, every time you turn around, Car Talk, Ray Magliozzi. Is that his name? Magliozzi? Don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Crick and Crack, the Tappet Brothers, right? Remember those guys from Car Talk Radio? A really great show if you like automobiles. It was on public radio out of Boston. It aired every weekend for, I think, 3 hours. And I think they did something like, I don't know how many shows they did. Thousands of shows over the course of 30 years. People would call in with car trouble, and they would, give them advice. In a humorous way. I mean, it was really, really one of my favorite shows, one of my favorite radio shows. It was called Car Talk. I'm going to pull it up right now, so I'm not going to give you Tom Magliozzi, popular co-host of NPR's Car Talk, dies at 77 years of age. 77 years of age from complications of Alzheimer's disease. Tom and his brother Ray became famous as Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers, on the weekly NPR show called Car Talk. They bantered, told jokes, laughed, and sometimes even gave pretty good advice to listeners who called in with their car troubles. They had an interesting history, these two guys. They both were graduates of MIT, both engineers from MIT, and then they gave it up to work on cars. And they had a very successful little garage, in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And then somehow they knew somebody at Boston Public Radio, and they parlayed this into a really great radio show. I mean, it was a really fun, great radio program. And, like they just said, often they really gave good advice about automobiles, too. It was just a really, really good, well-rounded radio show. And now he's dead at 77 years of age. He didn't even make the mean curve in the United States, which is now 81.47 years, I think. Average age of death in the United States, 81 years of age. He didn't even make it to that. And, gee, I wonder what someone with a last name Magliozzi had to eat over the course of his life. You think he liked olive oil? You think he ate a lot of olive oil? What do you think? You think an Italian guy from Boston would eat a lot of olive oil? You think an Italian guy living in Boston would eat a lot of Italian bread? You think? I mean, what do you think? You think that that's a possibility? You think that an Italian guy from Boston would eat lots of sausages made with nitrates? You think that over the course of his life they had sausages on a regular basis? You think? What do you think? You think they did? Quite frankly, probably the reason that he lived to be as old as he did, before he died from the complications of Alzheimer's, which is fancy schmancy decoder ring talk for incompetency of the medical professional. He died of medical incompetence, for goodness sake. You think he was on a statin drug? You think his doctor told him 20 years ago, Ray, Tom, you got to get on board with this statin stuff. It's the best stuff ever. It's the cutting edge of pharmaceutical medicine. You're an MIT guy. You're a scientist. You know what to do. Take the statin drug, baby. Now, I don't know if he was on a statin drug, but there is a direct relationship between statin drugs and Alzheimer's disease. And statin drugs are either the first or the second most prescribed drugs in the world, depending on how you crunch the numbers. So 5 will get you 10 that he was taking a statin drug. 5 will get you 10 that he was eating Italian white bread all of the time, loaded with gluten. What do you think about pasta? You think an Italian guy ate pasta? What do you think? How often do you think he ate pasta? What's pasta made from? Wheat. What's wheat? What's the problem with wheat? Gluten. Think he had olive oil? Well, yeah, probably did. Lots and lots and lots of olive oil. So the more olive oil he consumes, the more free radicals are in his blood, the more chronic inflammation is in his body, the less nutrients his body has to fight the inflammation because he's eating pasta and Italian bread all of the time. Honestly, probably the only thing that kept him alive as long as he did was red wine. Now, I have no idea if he drank red wine, but I'm going to guess that an Italian guy from Boston would, in fact, drink red wine. And so we go. A graduate of MIT, very successful, very, I don't know how much money the guy had, but I'm assuming that he wasn't, poor. Had access to the best medical minds in the flippin' world, and he dies from a physician-created disease, Alzheimer's. And if you look at the genesis, the evolution, the rate of Alzheimer's disease, it parallels with almost 100% accuracy the dissemination, the manufacture, the invention and the manufacture and the dissemination of cholesterol-lowering statin drugs. Over 90% of the part of the brain that's affected by Alzheimer's disease is made from cholesterol. So when you drive cholesterol into the ditch because your MD told you to take a statin drug, your brain dries up and you get Alzheimer's. Oh, by the way, your sex hormones dry up too. So if you're a man, all of a sudden you need Viagra. And if you're a woman, you have menopausal symptoms for 5 years instead of 5 months like your grandparents did. Now all of a sudden you need hormone supplementation, and men need Viagra, and who knows what's next. It's medical madness brought to you by Machiavellian, monopolistic MDs who don't give a crap about how to heal your condition, and who do not have enough intellectual integrity or social responsibility to stand up in the town square and say, you know what, we have failed. Give the naturopaths a chance. Let's go to Canada and see if Catherine likes Carlos Santana as much as I do. Hey, Catherine, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Thank you. Good evening. I have 2 questions for you. Oh, before I start, I just want to say you were talking about how the states chip the system. Well, they do here in this where I live.
Where do you live? New Brunswick?
New Brunswick.
Yeah. How does that pan out for you?
Well, let's put it like this: a lot of people are afraid to go to the hospital because they don't know what they're going to do to them.
Yeah, a lot of people are. Now, you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? A lot of people in New Brunswick are afraid to go to the hospital because they have no idea what the doctors are going to do to them, and that does not bode well for a happy, healthy community.
No, it doesn't. Just wanted to clear that up. Maybe they don't order extra, but they will know any better that you have something that you don't have, and they will treat you for something if you don't know any better.
Yeah, see, that's true, and often the medical doctor will just throw something against the wall and see what sticks, because, they're like scientists. I mean, scientists are just bad people. Scientists have been trained to separate their intellect from the emotional body of the people that they're working on. It's all in the name of science, ladies and gentlemen. So it doesn't matter if you hurt the patient. It doesn't matter if you harm the patient. It doesn't matter if you make an ineffective diagnosis. You're going to learn, and so you'll be able to help the next person, and that's just collateral damage. It's the same way that military people think. And quite frankly, these people are insane, and they should all be sent to a desert island in the middle of the South Pacific inhabited by rabid dogs. Let them work it out amongst themselves and stop messing it up for the rest of us. I mean, I'm in complete agreement with you, Catherine, 100%. Now, educate me, please. New Brunswick, are you east of Quebec? East of Quebec, where are you?
Yes, I am. I'm east of Quebec, and
west of Nova Scotia, right?
Northwest of Nova Scotia.
Oh, northwest of Nova Scotia. What town do you live in New Brunswick?
Bathurst.
Say that again?
Bathurst.
Oh, right. Very nice. Is there snow on the ground up there yet?
Yes, there is.
I knew it. Well, guess what? Here in the Midwest, in the United States, it snowed on Halloween and the day before. I've never seen it snow that early here. It was just a dusting, nothing stuck, but nonetheless, it was crazy, man.
Well, it's stuck here.
Yeah, I bet it did. Well, look, Catherine, you didn't call me to talk about the weather, and I appreciate your letting me go on and on here. How can I help?
Okay, I have a call. The first one is I have been trying to get on your site since last week as an insider.
Okay.
I have updated everything. I have written to support at Dr. Glidden. I received answers back really quick, but I can't go any further than the point where it says put in this. Once I go to the shopping bag for $25, the next page is just blank.
Oh, that's interesting. Sometimes what happens there, and really, I'm kind of working outside of my comfort zone. But sometimes when you're working on your computer, especially if you're doing internet stuff, people inadvertently hit the magnification button on their keyboard, and the screen that they're watching becomes magnified, and so you can't see stuff that's at the bottom of the screen that you need to see in order to complete the operation. So there's a button on your keyboard. You hit the control button, you hold the control button down, and then you hold the plus or the minus button, which is on the very top of the keyboard, usually next to the backspace button, in order to blow your screen up or to shrink your screen down. If you filled out a trouble ticket and the trouble ticket was responded to and they told you what to do and it still didn't work, it's probably, a problem with your hardware on your system and or just kind of the way that you're doing it. I mean, that happened, and don't feel bad if this actually is what happened, because this happened to me for 2 weeks. I had no idea what was going on. I wanted to throw my computer away. I was so frustrated. I was going to write angry letters to the manufacturer, and it was a simple mistake on my part. I hadn't, shrunken the screen down. So hit the control button and the minus, shrink the screen down, and see if that fixes it. And if that doesn't fix it, Catherine, call me back. I'll take care of it. Did you have a health question also?
Yes, I do. I have two.
All right, stick around, kiddo. I'll bring you back after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, we're up in New Brunswick, where it's already winter. All right, Catherine, thanks for hanging on. You are live. What questions do you have for me today?
Okay, the first question is, it's not for me. It's reference to phimosis, Phimosos.
Yeah, phimosis? All right.
Or Balantis. B like in boy, A-L-A-N-T like in Tom, I-S.
Yeah, balanitis or phimosis. All right, who's afflicted with that? Someone in your downline? Someone in your family?
Someone in the family, and the only thing that they're suggesting is that for the circumcision operation.
Okay.
Must be something more.
Yeah, so phimosis is a condition in men where if they haven't been circumcised when they were an infant, then the penis is still covered by the foreskin, and the job of the foreskin is to retract. And when the foreskin doesn't retract, that's called phimosis. And of course, the MD's only solution to that is to cut, and then to cut, and then to cut. And that just makes me want to pass out even just thinking about it, quite frankly. So what we need to do here, of course, is support and promote the structure and function of skin, and to a lesser degree, mucous membranes. So the add-ons here in longevity would be essential fatty acid supplementation, and copper. So to get essential fatty acid supplementation, you take one or two, probably two. I would take 2 extra bottles of EFA Plus a month, 2 extra bottle of EFA Plus a month, or 2 extra bottle of Prohoba Omegas a month. 2 extra bottles of Prohoba Omega a month, or 2 extra bottles of multi-EFAs per month. So the EFA Plus, Prohoba Omega, or multi-EFA, 2 extra bottles once you've dialed in the healthy pack appropriate for body weight. And for copper, we lean on selenium. The recommendation here, 1 bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, not to exceed more than 4 bottles a month. So eliminate the 10 bad foods, get on board with the Healthy Start Pack, extra EFAs, extra selenium. I would do that for 90 days and see what happens.
I have that. Now, the next one is for myself. First of all, I'll tell you what I'm doing first. I take the Tangy Tangerine. Woo-hoo. I take 1 drop of iodine daily. I take 2 glucose of glucosamine.
How much?
2 pills of glucosamine.
All right. Where'd you get those? You get those from Longevity or someplace else?
Oh, I didn't even know Longevity sell it.
Okay.
From the drugstore. That's the best we have here.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. I don't eat the 10 food, so that's not a problem.
Good girl.
But I get really, really sleepy if I sit down, and it is hard to lift my legs to get into a car or van. It's just practically impossible. It's like I'm not strong enough.
Okay, so don't sit down, and I want you to get a motor scooter that has four-wheel drives, and so you can stand up on it. So you never have to sit down again, and you can just use the motor scooter and drive it all around New Brunswick. And you can put a little flag on the back of it that has your name and your email address, and you will become the talk of the town. Does that sound like a good idea?
It's winter time. No. Okay, I can't even lift my leg to get on a bicycle.
Okay. Now, has that been diagnosed? Has anyone, tried to attempt a diagnosis there?
No. Well, one doctor tried. She said she wanted to test me for sugar diabetes.
And did she?
No, because I said before, I took that test one time. My blood was 5.8. I'm not going to be eating all that glucose, the sugar, because you have to drink a whole big...
Yeah, it's a stupid test. I mean, it's a nasty test. There's a better way to test that, by the way. But in any event, okay, so what else is bothering you, Catherine?
Now, around my waist, it hurts when I get up to walk. Right now I have a weightlifter's belt on. Sometimes it'll hurt bad enough that it wants me to bend over, like you take your hand, you hold it up, and you bend, like, say, over about 20 or 40 degrees. Well, I don't bend over. I force myself to stay up, but it's really hurting. My back, upper muscles, thigh muscles, they hurt when I'm walking. In the back of my knees, it's starting to hurt, where you want to bend your knees to walk, and that's just not too cool. That's not cool with me at all.
Well, I'm pretty sure all of this is going to go away if you become a Chicago Blackhawks hockey fan. I really think that's probably an appropriate step here, because you probably root for the Montreal Canadiens.
No, I'm not a sports fan. I don't bother with sports.
You got me I'm in a silly mood today, Catherine. Now look, so
okay.
All right, so how much do you weigh?
That's bad. I weigh 253 pounds. I have came down from 298.
How did you do that? How did you lose that much weight? How did you do that?
Well, I just went totally green vegetables, fruits, absolutely no sugars.
Okay, how long have you been eliminating the 10 bad foods? How long have you specifically been gluten-free? How long have you been doing that?
Okay, I'll start with gluten-free. I never liked bread from the time I was a small child, okay? So I didn't care for that. I just went more, I don't care, I never cared for soda pop.
Well, what about pasta or cookies or crackers or cakes or pie crust or anything else that has wheat in it?
I used to didn't until I got married. I did not like anything that was sweet.
So for how many years have you been avoiding everything made with wheat, barley, rye, and oats? How many years have you been doing that?
I'd say about 2.
Okay, great. So here's what I want you to do. Here's my recommendation for the first 90 days, okay? In the interest of time, I need to move things along.
Okay,
here.
I do have the rest of the things I want. Okay, so 90. When I'm in bed at night, my left and right side of my rib cage hurts.
Yeah.
I have to sleep only on one side. If I move the wrong way, I'll get a sharp pain on my ribs. But once I get up or sit up in bed, it disappears like magic.
That's interesting, isn't it?
And my right toe on my right foot has become and the top pad has become tingling numb. Yeah. My thumb and my index finger on the right side is tingling and going like it doesn't want to feel things like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And number 2, my eyes are changing color. They were dark brown. That's disappearing. And underneath, it's pure black. And I have a blue ring around the black part, and now this is maybe it's good. My prescription has changed. I'm from 350 on one down to 200, and from 150 down to 0, where I don't need it. I don't really need any prescription on one eye.
Oh, okay. So your eyesight is getting better?
Yeah, it has been improving.
Oh, that's crazy. Are you doing any eye exercises for that or anything specific,
No.
or did it just spontaneously fix itself?
It's just fixing itself.
Well,
I
I'm
guess.
pretty sure there's an alien abduction going on here. I'm pretty sure that's what this is, Catherine.
I don't think so.
All right, so look, I'm going to tell you what to do here, and I want you to do what I tell you to do to the best of your ability for the next 90 days,
Okay.
Because all of this fits together from the holistic vantage point, okay? It all fits together from the holistic vantage point. So one of the things that is going to help you a lot in accelerating a positive outcome here is if you can find a chiropractor who is trained and certified in applied kinesiology. Let me spell that for you. K-I-N-E-S-I-O-L-O-G-Y. Applied kinesiology. Find a chiropractor who's certified and trained in applied kinesiology, because all of this musculoskeletal stuff that you have going on, especially the rib thing in bed, the leg pain and the abdominal pain because, making you want to wear like a weightlifter's belt, all of those symptoms will be moved along nicely if you can find a chiropractor trained in applied kinesiology, because they will be able to help you with muscle health to a great degree while we are providing medical nutrition in the background here for you, okay?
Okay.
So, all right, so that's great. So here's what I want you to do for supplements in a perfect world. I want you, please, every month to take 2 Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid. 2 of those. It's called Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid.
Okay.
I'd like you to do 2 of those a month. I'd like you to do 2 bottles of Sweet Ease, Sweet, SWEET-EZE, 2 bottles of Sweet Ease a month.
Okay, got that.
Okay. 2 bottles of plant-derived minerals a month. 2 bottles of plant-derived minerals a month.
Got it.
And that's it. No, I want you to do selenium. I want you to do 4 bottles of selenium a month as well. 4 bottles of selenium. And that's it. I want you to do anything else for the first 90 days, but you have to dial that stuff in every single solitary day. How did you find out about me, by the way, Catherine?
Oh, I was, I was looking at InfoWars, and I called the number, no, looking at Dr. Wallace. I just picked it up because it was something about how this basketball player
Theo Ratliff
extended his career, and my grandson is interested in that. So I was on YouTube. I live on YouTube, by the way.
So you've already ordered longevity supplements?
Oh, I've been taking. I'll be starting on my 3rd can of Tangy Orange.
Yeah, okay, great. So I just dialed this in for you a lot. I'm really happy to do that. Take this stuff that I just recommended every month for the next 3 months. Find a chiropractor who's versed in applied kinesiology. Set up an appointment with them. And call me back every 6 weeks, more or less, with a progress report. I expect you to be experiencing slow and steady improvement, like watching the ice melt in the springtime in New Brunswick. And you might want to make a list, Catherine, right now of all of the things that are bothering you. And once a week, check in with that symptom and see whether or not it's getting better or not, and keep a running record of your improvement, because your body will improve slowly in steps over time. And if you have a running record of your improvement, it gives you hope and passion to maintain the discipline necessary here to bring it all home. California's up next, folks. Let's go to California and talk to Maria. Hey, Maria, thanks for calling. What's going on?
Hello, Dr. Glidden. I'm calling about my dad. He's 83 years old, and he has ALS.
I'm sorry to
He
hear
was
that.
diagnosed. Yeah, he was diagnosed 10 years ago, but he really had symptoms 2 years prior. He was trached 9 years ago. Had a
Yeah.
gastrostomy tube placed then.
Yeah,
Everything he gets, supplements and food, water, everything comes through the gastrostomy tube.
Yeah.
He's only been hospitalized 4 times in 9 years
Yeah, that's good.
for a maximum of 11 days. The worst hospitalization was this past June, and that was 5 days. And he was in there for a UTI, pneumonia, went home on Levaquin. He was hyponatremic with a sodium of 116.
Whew.
It went up to 142 upon discharge. His albumin was 2.5. He had a pleural effusion. They nicked the lung when they tried to put the chest tube in, so he ended up with a pneumothorax and had the chest tube in for 4 days.
Wow.
They ruled out CA tentatively because of the pleural effusion,
Yeah.
and the CHF was also questionable. They thought it was probably just a pneumonic process. And he's also hypothyroid. So back on mid-June, he went home. He came home. He lives at home with us, with me, or I live with him, rather. He came home on Lasix 20 Q-Day, Synthroid 25 micrograms Q-Day, Reglan 10 ACHS, ACL 20 Q-Day.
Man.
His
And how long have you been a nurse?
Since 82.
There you go. I can tell when I'm talking to a nurse. We love nurses, by the way. And if I were the king of the world, I would put nurses in charge of the delivery of medicine, and I would have the doctors work for the nurse. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's what we would do too. But this I came on to longevity in early September,
Yeah.
and so I thought, who am I to deny my dad a chance for possible getting up out of that bed?
There you go.
But my dad has possibly 12 years of ALS, and the doctors are amazed that he survived this long.
Yeah.
My dad looks good. He looks like he's asleep when you walk in. He's 122 pounds,
Yep.
and he looks good normally. But his mental status has declined horribly since my mom's death
I
2
bet.
years ago.
Yep.
And he's almost like locked in.
Yeah.
So, but I thought I'm going to give this a chance. So I started him on it. I don't know if it's really there, if I want to see something that's there, but he now moves his pinky. Because
Gotta love
before
it.
he moved nothing.
Yeah.
You know, his facial grimaces were pretty much intact. He yawned. He opened his eyes. They kind of gazed up to the corner. Now he gazes more centrally, but not quite purposefully, not focuses on anything.
Yeah.
So it might be a longevity effect or not. But this is what happened suddenly. Back last Sunday, so about, 9 days ago, he woke up. He didn't look comfortable. His fever was his temperature was 101.4. Well, I don't like to give Tylenol, so I thought I'm going to write this out.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, he ended up having his urine turned from normal looking, except that vitamin-filled look, you know, that apple
Yeah.
juice look.
Yeah.
It went to looking very, very sedimenty, and
Yeah.
it looked like I was pouring the juice from the powders
Yeah.
right into my Foley bag.
Yeah, okay. So here's now, in the interest of time here, Maria, I have to dial this in real quickly, but if you can, are you able to call me first thing tomorrow morning at the beginning of the show?
I did that today. I called first thing at the beginning of the show.
Okay, well, we've had a tremendous
so I'll dial
amount
in
of callers.
tomorrow again.
You call me tomorrow. I'm not going to do my first 14-minute monologue. I'll just take your call first thing tomorrow, and I'll dial this in for you because I know exactly what you need to do. I appreciate your holding on as long as you did. You know, these are the constraints of radio.
Well,
Call me
ask you
tomorrow,
something
Maria.
let me ask you something really super important before you hang up. Eggs. The effects on eggs or longevity on clotting factors. I have a lot of occult blood coming through different...
Okay. All right. So occult blood means he needs more calcium, and just give him the egg white. Give him the egg white for more protein. If you're worried at all about the cholesterol issue, which you shouldn't be, but listen.
I'm not worried about cholesterol. I'm worried about occult blood in the urine, in the sputum.
It's not going to have
the
anything to
PPI.
do. The egg situation is going to.
This is Dan.